just um, just think of avoiding talking about how to pronounce things, how to pronounce words, because we assume that probably our students will pick this naturally. But picking the accent naturally is only possible when you are growing in this environment, in the English speaking environment. And we know that later on, we acquire this through explanation, analysis, and we have to really have a lot of practice. Those families which are bilingual, they skip this teaching process because they even not attain, they obtain the pronunciation naturally. But a lot of our students, if I speak about Russian students, for example, and I know that this is the situation in many other countries, um, just do not have exposure to the English language in real life situations. And it's only when they travel that they can hear native speakers speak and interact with them. Yes, we've got a lot of YouTube, and on YouTube channel we have a lot of audios and videos, but does that help us to obtain the correct pronunciation? Experience shows that it doesn't. Um, I quoted Adrian Underhill here. He says that anyway, every lesson is a pronunciation lesson, so why worry? We're teaching it, but we want to be more productive in doing this. Again, the question of teaching pronunciation arises when people kind of complacent with their accent, and some people say, okay, I don't need to change my accent. I am who I am. You can recognize my German accent, or you can recognize my Russian accent or my French accent, and it's okay. But what pronunciation teachers are talking about is not changing the accent. You can well maintain your accent. Nobody is going to wipe it out from the planet Earth. We're talking about only those mistakes which lead to misunderstanding. And maintaining your accent and sounding at the same time intelligible is just all right. And this is the purpose, I guess, of our EFL ESL classroom. I'm not saying of the pronunciation classroom, because mostly we teach pronunciation only as one of the components. Yeah, the reasons are, I can list at least 4: intelligibility and communicative efficiency. And I have seen many students who really feel that they want to sound beautifully, and they want to sound like they want their message to sound correct. So in this case, it's a cherry on top. And why not give them that cherry on top? What to teach? When we come to the question of what to teach, many teachers still remember as a nightmare those pronunciation courses and their theory of phonetics and phonology at university, I'm sure. And they probably think like, do we have to bring that to our classroom? Do we really have to study all that stuff with our students? Does the classroom need to become that boring? And I would say I would compare that amount of knowledge of phonetics and phonology that we got at university when we were students with an iceberg. We do not have to drag all the iceberg into our classroom. What we need just the shiny top of the iceberg, and that is going to be enough. That's going to be enough for our students to sound intelligible and to be really happy with their performance. So, what do we need in class? Just any classroom. I'm not talking about the pronunciation classroom. I'm talking just about an EFL classroom, ESL classroom. I feel that a teacher may train themselves just like I did. I did this several minutes ago. I drew this on my board. I trained myself to draw the sagittal cut. And now with practice, it comes so naturally. I feel that I absolutely need this to sometimes explain to my students where you place the tongue and in which position it is to the teeth and against the alveolar ridge, or whether it touches or does not touch the hard palate, or what you do with the lips. And these explanations sometimes and oftentimes save a lot of repetition, like repeat after me. And the student tries to repeat, but nothing much happens. Like, yeah, he can get it um, after several times, but this result is not sturdy. And we need to explain. Sometimes a quick fix is when you explain how your organs of articulation work in your mouth cavity and how wide you open your mouth and how low you drop your jaw. And this all is, believe me or do not believe me, just try it out. It does not make your classroom boring. It's a lot of laughter. It's a lot of fun because students really love playing with their organs of articulation. Articulation and breathing practice is something that you can use not only as the pronunciation teaching. You can also use it as a brain break. Anyway, in the middle of your class, you need the brain break. After your students have been sitting for quite some time, and this is probably not the first class on their schedule today, it's a very good idea to have a brain break, which is both beneficial for their muscles and for their brains. This can be relaxation exercises and you help your students to relax their neck and relax their lips and relax their tongue and relax their jaws. Um, so this is also something that the students both like it and it prepares them for the pronunciation of certain sounds, especially if the whole class has got an issue or maybe most of the class has got an issue with some particular sound. So, and does this bring us to teaching our students transcription? This is something which makes teachers' hair stand. Like, do we have to teach them transcription, especially in the digital age when who needs this transcription? The phones have got apps which recognize the voice. Dictionaries have got speakerphones, and you can just tap on that speaker, and you hear the pronunciation, the correct pronunciation of the word. So who needs transcription nowadays? But when I'm talking about, I'm talking not about transcription for the sake of transcription or to be able to read the word. Um, Following Adrian Underhill, I'm talking about that we are teaching not symbols, we're teaching muscular coordinations. And these little symbols, they save, again, they save us time. I just wonder if you can see what I'm demonstrating because there are some pictures here on the screen of the participants. So we are doing it not for the sake of this chart. We are doing it to be able to explain the differences between phonemes. And uh, each phoneme, to explain each phoneme, it takes a lot of time, a lot of explanation, right? Maybe not that much, maybe something like 10 minutes. But if you do this and then you assign a symbol to that explanation, next time you will have just only to show that sign, and that's enough. And the students will remember what the sound is, um, where they have to place their organs of articulation to make this particular sound. So I'm all for it, and there are so many different activities which, again, the purpose is not to teach the symbols which practice the pronunciation of the sound. And while we are doing this, again, it's the representation of the sound, it's listening to it, distinguishing it from other sounds, it's playing with sounds, and it's finally producing the correct sound. There are many activities. I'm not going to go over all of them. I'm just showing some of them here. And there are even more to teach consonants. Just briefly. So here is the hangman. You know very well, and you're probably using it for different um, other purposes, for teaching spelling. For example, we all love tongue twisters, I guess. Here is the activity, which is advertising slogans. Here is a word search, phonemic word search, the running dictation, which can be used for teaching just whatever, vocabulary, grammar, and phonetics too, pronunciation. Um, there are activities to teach word and sentence stress, and you can find them in abundance in specially written books, which are not the books about phonology, which are not the books about phonetics, which are the books for teachers, training teachers to incorporate pronunciation training into their classes. Grammar and intonation is something that we also teach in that scope of pronunciation training work. Here is what we teach, and here are some activities. There's no time to go over the activities right now, and you will be able to find them online and offline in the library. I'm just showing you that there's a lot of material. It's not something scarce and you can not find it. We teach attitude and intonation, and you can imagine how both exciting the classes can be when you teach different types of attitude and intonation. And this comprises not only teaching pronunciation, but definitely different other aspects, and different aspects of speech, like both writing and reading, um, and listening and speaking. So there are a lot more activities than I have listed here that you can do with your students, and still you will be tackling pronunciation issues here. How to teach. This is also a question that I need to answer here. Yes, we do have course books. I can assume that all schools choose a book for every course, and the teacher cannot choose whether to teach that of this kind of pronunciation. If the course book is in American English, then you're teaching American pronunciation. If the course book is in British, English, then you teach British, the British pronunciation. But what exactly to teach? Because usually the course book have got scarce exercises, not so many exercises deal with pronunciation. It's one thing. Another one is um, there are not many explanations of what to do with the exercises. Yeah, they mostly work on the vocabulary from that particular unit, and they tackle some um, like vowel or consonant pronunciation in certain words, and mostly that's it. But there's so much more to teach. What do we do? I think that we need to start going away from just reactive teaching and onto planned teaching. Just the way as you plan your grammar and vocabulary, you put them on your curriculum. I mean, you probably just make a schedule, the grid, and put all the aspects there in that grid. You know how many lessons you're giving, you know what you're teaching in terms of grammar and vocabulary. Just the same, you can plan teaching pronunciation too in those classes. Some classes can be remedial, and this is in the case when you have all the tools that you need, all the inventory in your classroom, and you can quickly grab those cards, teaching the minimal pairs, for example, or you can uh, like write the tongue twister on the board and quickly teach it to your students when you're really bugged by mispronunciation of some sound. And you, in this case, you will skip some grammar or vocabulary, but you will tackle that particular pronunciation aspect. But that is a remedial lesson. What about integrated lessons? When you are being proactive rather than reactive. When you absolutely foresee some pronunciation mistake in your classroom, and what you do is you just plan working on that aspect, whether that be the stress. And sometimes um, we deal with such things like, for example, stresses in longer words. You know that longer words in English have more than one stress. They have at least two stresses, like pronunciation. It's not pronunciation. Like in Russia, we tend to say very long words with only one stress, like электрификация. How can you pronounce that? Or my family name, Чугунникова. It's just not possible for a native English speaker. So you have to kind of put two stresses, at least two stresses in this long word. And you can choose to teach that to your students. It will pay off if you choose such kind of strange aspects of pronunciation to teach, because they do not even lead to misunderstanding. If you make this mistake, it does not even lead to misunderstanding. But this is the cherry on top that our students want sometimes. So integrated lessons, you choose an aspect of pronunciation and you build all the rest of the class around it, and you do the reading and writing with that particular aspect, and you do the speaking using that particular aspect, and that makes a very beautiful lesson, and both you and student just like it. Practice lessons are those lessons when you practice some particular feature for its own sake, just for its own sake. And here I would like even to suggest that why not devote the first class of your course to certain routines that you're going to use later on in your course. And if you spend one class only 45 minutes, but introducing those routines, like the breathing exercises, um, articulatory exercises, then also you will tell the students and demonstrate a couple of tongue twisters that you're going to do that and play certain games, then later on it will save you a lot of time, a lot of explanation. This is how I see it. Um, we always have to think about the 5 stages every skill is supposed to go through when we just work on some skills with our students. So it's not just having you're having all the cards and posters in the classroom and being able to produce them whenever you want. With every particular um, issue of pronunciation, you have to go through the 5 stages. Is description and analysis, listening, discrimination, you all know this. And then you have to make sure that you do all the control, all the practice, all the 3 stages, both controlled, guided, and communicative, and be ready with a bountiful feedback to your students. It's not just do this, like when students do this and they do not know whether they did this correctly or not. Feedback and a lot of positive feedback too. As we're talking about creativity today, I would like to just show you this toolkit, which I think every teacher, if they even if they have only this toolkit in their classroom, their supervisors and the students and the students' parents will immediately think this is a creative teacher. So here are the things which I think that every teacher should have in their classroom. The learner's reference charts of English sounds that you saw at the very beginning, and which terrifies most of the teachers if they don't know what to do with that. Posters with phonemic chart with pictures, and this one is to hang on the wall of your classroom. A vowel diagram, something like, well, I don't know whether I'm showing this correctly. This is just my um, picture that I drew by hand, but actually you can print it out and have it. Sagittal cut of the human head. Yeah, cards and pictures of lip position and tongue placement, as well as the description of the pronunciation of each sound and sound associations. These can be really very handy, even if you if you print this out and put this up on the walls of your classroom too, for the student reference. Halfway house sounds chart. If you know what this is, if you don't know, then absolutely need to watch videos by Adrian Underhill. Cause with tongue
Tatiana,
twisters. Yeah,
Tatiana, you have like 3 minutes.
5 minutes.
So three. So can we wrap it up because we need questions?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. And a new, one of the new directions in teaching pronunciation is using video, and using video in the classroom can be a very mighty feedback tool. So just because I do not have a lot of time, I would like to tell you that this is what I think a creative teacher is. A creative teacher is the one who keeps the goal of teaching pronunciation in mind and keeps learning. And the creative teacher builds up students' confidence by giving positive feedback, which you all do, I am absolutely sure. And you have to move around the classroom, of course, and you have to use printed visual aids, and you have to use your body to explain and demonstrate certain aspects. And provide a lot of examples of different accents of English, and you have to use individual, pair, group, and whole class practice formats, and you have to choose exercises that are simple, accessible, fun, and combine receptive and productive skills. So now here are the further reading, uh, the books for the further reading, and I thank everybody for your attention. If
Thank you. Thank you, Tatiana. It
if
was
there
really,
are some questions, then
beneficial.
I am ready to answer them.
Yes. If you have a question, you can speak up in your microphone, or you can type in the chat. First, I'd like to thank Tatiana very much for this great presentation. Uh, Also, I'd like to say that if we are disconnected in 2 minutes or 1 minute now, we are going to come back from the same link. Please use the same link for our second session. It would be marvelous with our second Miss Tatiana, another one from Russia too. Any questions? Kindly type your email. Okay, Tatiana, could you please type your email?
My email, yeah, sure, no problem.
uh, I'd like you to ask Tatiana about anything that you'd like to know more about, because we have less than a minute. We are going to come back again from the same link. Please invite others, because the other 3 sessions will be great, 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 I promise. Any questions? Okay, Tatiana, do you have any question to thanks a million, an amazing session?
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much for this event. Yeah, I was really, really happy to prepare for it, and I hope that my fellow teachers found it useful.
Thank you. Manal and Fatin are thanking you. It was a great session. Heba Musad is thanking you. We
Thank you
are
very
all thanking
much.
you. And
Thank you.
please, please attend with
Thank
us
you.
in the next 3 sessions, Tatiana and everyone. Okay? We are going to come back just right now when we get disconnected.
Okay.